So a lot of times I'll go see a movie or buy a movie just based on hearing about the premise alone. And the premise to this film sounded great. The actual movie, though, yeesh. Alright, so the film Inside, starring Willem Dafoe, is a story about a art thief who breaks into like a New York City penthouse. It's this really fancy place, and he's stealing specific pieces of art and essentially gets trapped inside this apartment and can't get out. And there's your premise. And it's this dude kind of isolated in there. He's got to try to use his wits to try to get out. And you kind of deal with him kind of slowly falling into insanity as the film progresses. And it's a great sounding premise. And Willem Dafoe is an outstanding actor and actually gives a really strong performance in this. But for me, it quickly sank faster than a rock in water. So, like, it starts off really interesting. You're really engaged with it. There's tension. And all of that stuff just slowly starts to kind of fade into boredom, for me at least. I get what they're trying to go for. You know, it's one of those, and I hate using this phrase, but it's the quote, artsy fartsy kind of movie. It's one person in an environment, and you're watching this one person deal with their sanity and trying to escape a situation that they find themselves in. And I've seen and I like these kind of movies. That's what, like, when I heard the premise made me go, I think I'll check this out and I might dig it. And I like Willem Dafoe as an actor anyway, so I was like, this could be a win-win. Because, you know, I like films like Locke and Buried, where, you know, it was one character in a situation. For Buried, it was Ryan Reynolds stuck in a box for an hour and a half. And the other one, it is literally Tom Hardy driving in a car for 2 hours. And, you know, I'm sure just hearing those kind of premises, it's like, well, those sound boring. What could you possibly do with that amount of time and in that little confine of a space? And it turns out they could do a lot, because both of those films are awesome. Now, this film, I was excited because he's in an entirely big, like, New York studio apartment. And it's like the fancy kind where it's art's all over the walls. The stairs are done in a very artistic way that, you know, whoever owns this place is an art collector. So there's, like, a lot of space for this character to kind of move around in. And when he gets trapped in there, you would think, all right, let's see some of that ingenuity. Let's see some of that critical thinking in trying to get out. And it's not as clever as I wanted it to be. It definitely, you know, it kind of starts off with him trying to get out, and you're like, okay, so he's just trying to brute force his way out, and then slowly he's going to figure out a different way to get out. Any skills he does have that he eventually does use, it just seems like it, and they kind of play with time a little bit, and it's hard to nail down exactly how long he's trapped in this room. Is it weeks? Is it months? But it's all in his head too. So there's this weird unreliableness to the story, because you're also kind of following this madness he's kind of got, or at least that's how I took it. You know, slowly just sinking into this madness, stuck in this room, you know, trying to survive, scraping, you know, every little thing he can to, you know, sustain himself with food, and, you know, try to figure out how to keep getting water. And there's a bunch of stuff that, you know, eventually he gets to that I'm like, well, why wasn't this stuff you thought of early on in order to get out? And I don't know. This also felt like an art student's film where they're like, all right, we got this movie and this great little premise, and this honestly probably could have been, or should have been, a short. This should have been 15 to 30 minutes. And that's it. Like, anything longer, it was really pushing it, and this was pushing it. You know, they were filling in time with the extreme close-ups of, you know, different little objects. You know, like, why are we focusing on this little pool of water for 8 seconds? Why are we focusing on a pillow for 7 seconds? It's just all these weird little close-ups that I don't feel added anything to the story, to the mood, to any of it. And I'm really disappointed with this. To be honest with you, I would, and where I'm going to end up grading this, I'll have it compared to another film that I can't believe I would rather go see again than watch this film again. Look, from a lot of different aspects, I think this film it's not a terribly made film, and my grade might not reflect that. But so I feel like, you know, the story was kind of weak. I feel like the cinematography was pretty good. Like, obviously they did a good job there. The editing, I felt like, was way too long, and they really oddly spliced some stuff together. And it just felt like an art student just kind of throwing spaghetti at the wall and seeing what would stick. Or like, oh, this is a cool shot. Let's just put that there now because it's art and it's weird. Like, it just felt like that for about an hour and a half, however long this film was. And then, the music's fine. I think the direction, was pretty simple, but it also felt like they kind of just made it up as they went along. Like, they had Willem Dafoe for a week. They had this apartment for a week, and they're like, all right, what do we do today? Let's try doing this weird thing. And it just all felt a little disjointed. Kind of after the first 5-10 minutes, it just kind of goes off the rails. So, yeah. So in the end, guys, I'm going to give this a D+. That's right, a D+. And for those of you who don't recall, I did give the same grade to 80 for Brady. And I would honestly go back and watch 80 for Brady again before watching this film, as much as I didn't think that 80 for Brady was a great film. At least I'd rather rewatch that if you were to force me. This was just a little too long, a little too boring. At least 80 for Brady had Sally Field. And thank goodness for that. So what about you guys? Have you heard of Inside? Have you any interest in it? What's your favorite Willem Dafoe movie? There we go. Let me know down in the comments below. If you could also please hit that like button, subscribe button, the little bell notification to be notified whenever I drop new videos. And I'm not sure what the next movie will be. I'm thinking it'll be John Wick Chapter 4, but we'll see, guys. Until the next review, though, I'll be seeing you.